Welcome back to our online lecture series in textile effluent treatments. So in the previous lecture video, we saw about tertiary treatment techniques. In that, we saw some other techniques which are some of the advanced techniques used in treating the textile effluent. So the techniques we saw in previous lecture includes advanced oxidation process, then activated carbon treatment, and ion exchange process. So in this lecture video, we'll see about membrane treatment methods, or simply called membrane technology. What is membrane technology? Membrane technology is a physical process for the separation of material mixtures in which the membrane functions like a filter. The separated substances are neither thermally nor chemically or biologically modified. So there is no change in their chemical structure or biological nature or thermal behavior. So it is not influenced by any of these factors, and only simple filtration, which is physical separation alone, takes place in membrane technology. It is similar to the sand filtration, conventional sand filtration which we do. Only thing is that here the filtration media will be a polymeric membrane, and this will be a semi-permeable membrane. So in wastewater treatment, this membrane technology is also used in combination with other purification methods such as biological procedures such as in secondary treatment methods. So there is a combination of this bio process and membrane technology, commonly called as membrane bioreactor. Okay, so it implies both biological process, that is aerobic process, plus membrane filtration is happening together in a reactor. Okay. It could be used in combination or it can be used in a separated. And here you can see a stack of modules of this membrane filter. These are tubular form and it is made in stacks. Set of stacks you could see in this picture. The second picture, you can see the hollow fibers which are twisted to form a filter module. In membrane filtration, there are two kinds of filtration adopted. One is dead end filtration, which is a conventional filtration type, and the other one is cross flow filtration, or it is also known as tangential flow filtration. So this dead end filtration is commonly adopted by all of us in treating the water, either in drinking water or wastewater. So we normally follow this dead end filtration in case of sand filters, which we already knew. But in the case of membrane filtration, we most probably don't follow this dead end filtration. As you can see here, while the liquid passes over this membrane, that it contacts the membrane in a perpendicular way, right? The direction of flow will be perpendicular to the direction of the placement of the membrane, and while passing, it leaves behind the microbes and other particles, solute particles, over the membrane, and only the water passes through the membrane. So as a result, these settled particles started accumulating and forms a layer over this membrane, and it offers resistance to the further filtration of the wastewater. So, and it also results in fouling, which is nothing but blockage of the pores. It's the main problem in case of microfiltration and ultrafiltration. Normally, this dead end filtration is not preferred in case of filtration, that is membrane filtration. In the next case is the cross flow filtration, which is tangential flow. The flow is tangential to the membrane placement, or it is parallel to the direction of placement of the membrane. Okay, so as a result, what happens is that while it is passing in a parallel direction, the water passes through the membrane, while the particles which are excluded or the reject is carried away by the water which is flowing in along the direction of placement. So this reduces the fouling of membrane. So it somewhat extends the life of the membrane which we use for filtration. So it also increases the efficiency. You can see in an untreated water there will be parasites, inorganic particles, water, bacteria, salts, and biopolymers. Based on the size of the membrane, the exclusion takes place in most of the membranes. So next is the membrane modules. Generally, membranes are placed in four kinds of modules. One is plate and frame module, and the other one is large tubular module. We have hollow fine fiber module and spiral wound module. These are some common membrane module designs. And in plate and frame module, it is simply placed in a plane form. Okay, so in a planar form, it is placed and the filtration takes place in such a plate and frame. Okay. So here you can see that's a paper substrate. We have two phenolic support plate, and then we have cellulose acetate membrane over which we have perforated PVC back. So in order to support this membrane, we have paper substrate, and over which we have phenolic support plate, and we have the membrane, and over that we have perforated PVC baffle for the protection. So in large tubular form, the membranes are folded in a tubular way, and the feed is provided to the inner hollow of the tube, while the permeate or the filtrate comes out through the circumference of the tube. So this large tubular form, circumferential way the water comes out. In hollow fine fibers, the fibers are placed in longitudinal manner inside a hollow tube, and the water is allowed to pass through, and the hollow fibers carries the filtration. In spiral wound method, so multiple membranes are wound together to form a single module. So classification of membranes. So here membranes are classified based on their size of the pores in them as microfiltration, ultrafiltration, nanofiltration, and reverse osmosis. So in microfiltration, the pore size of the membrane ranges from few microns to about 0.1 micrometers. In ultrafiltration, the pore size varies between 0.1 micrometer to 0.01 micrometer. In nanofiltration, this even varies from 0.0 micrometer to 0.001 micrometer, which is 1 nanometer. And in reverse osmosis, the RO membrane is less than 1 nanometer. So this RO membrane only allows water molecules to pass through it under high pressure of 10 to 100 MPa compared to other membrane technologies which are mentioned here previously. So this is a flowchart where you can see the same classification. First is microfiltration, next is the ultrafiltration, and we have nanofiltration, reverse osmosis, classified in the increasing order of their pore size. So here this picture gives a clear picture for you what each filter does. So this membrane filtration operates around a pressure of about 0.1 to 3 bars, and this removes only suspended particulate matters. This ultrafiltration removes selected macromolecules, while nanofiltration removes still multivalent salts and small solutes, and RO removes the further presence of salts, and only water passes through the RO membrane. Okay, so the more advanced one or the most efficient one is when we need very pure water, we can go for RO filtration. And if we need some more salts present, we need to go for nanofiltration. And this we chose based on our choice or desire. So here you can see the size exclusion, what are the materials which are ejected here, you can see clearly. So first is microfiltration. So this is a filtration, which is a physical process as we said earlier. And here the contaminant fluid is passed through the special pore size membrane to separate the microorganisms and suspended particles from the process liquid. This microfiltration can be also defined as a loose membrane separation process using membranes with pore size approximately 0.3 to 10 micron. So here a molecular weight cutoff of about which is 10,000 daltons and a relatively low feed water operating pressure of approximately 100 to 400 kPa will be applied to favor the process. So this microfiltration serves as a pre-treatment for separation process such as ultrafiltration and so on. A post-treatment for granular media filtration. So it is followed after granular media filtration and before other membrane filtration process. So here the particle size of microfiltration varies from, as I said earlier, 0.1 to 10 micrometers. The filters used in microfiltrations are specially designed to prevent particles, such particles which are sediments, algae, protozoa, or larger bacteria can be removed in this microfiltration. More microscopic atomic or ionic materials such as water, monovalent species such as sodium chloride ions, and dissolved organic matter, and small colloid and viruses will still able to pass through the microfiltration membrane. The material removed by microfiltration that area it removes effectively the sand, silt, clays, and some microbes such as Giardia lamblia and Cryptosporidium cyst, and some algae and some bacterial species which are larger. So it is not an absolute barrier to virus, so it cannot filter off the viruses, as viruses are much smaller than the size of the microfiltration membrane. So it can only be used as a pre-treatment to RO or nanofiltration to reduce the fouling potential. So this microfiltration membranes, some of the microfiltration membranes are silver membranes, which have a particle retention rate of 0.2 to 5 micron. Then cellulose acetate membrane, which is a commonly adopted membrane, and here the particle retention rating is 0.2 to 5 micron. Then we have ceramic membranes, which could withstand high temperatures also, and this particle retention rating varies from 0.4 to 1.4 microns. Then comes the polyether sulfone membranes, which has a particle retention rating of 0.02 to 0.5 microns. And next is PTFP membranes, the polytetrafluoroethylene membranes. So the surface could be weaved in a semi-mesh. When we have ceramic membrane and we have cellulose acetate membranes. Next is ultrafiltration. So ultrafiltration is a variety of membrane filtration in which forces like pressure or concentration gradient lead to the separation through the semi-permeable membrane. The suspended solids and solutes of high molecular weight are retained here, and it is called retentate or reject, we can say, while water and the low molecular weight solute which passes through the membrane is called permeate or filtrate. So both of these separate based on the size exclusion principle or particle capture principle. This ultrafiltration numbers are defined by molecular weight cutoff the membrane. Now ultrafiltration is applied in a cross flow or dead-end filtration mode. Most of the ultrafiltrations or membranes are made from polymeric materials such as polysulfone, polypropylene, cellulose acetate, and polylactic acid. However, we have ceramic membranes are used in applications where high temperatures are involved. Next is the membrane diagram, which you could see here, microscopic image. And here an ultrafiltration membrane should have high porosity and narrow pore size distribution. The polymers used in ultrafiltration are cellulose acetate, as we see just now, and cellulose triacetate, which is called TCA. We have polyvinyl alcohol, which is a sizing agent we saw in the textile process. The same polyvinyl alcohol is also used in manufacturing this ultrafiltration membrane. We have polyamide, polysulfone, we have porous carbon of alumina, and polyether sulfones are used in making the ultrafiltration membrane. So membrane fouling. So this is a major problem in or major challenge in case of ultrafiltration. So as time passes by, when filtration starts and as time passes, the filtrate starts accumulating on the membrane surface and it starts thickening and it clogs the pores, and this reduces the membrane effectiveness or efficiency, and this process is called membrane fouling. As a result of membrane fouling, the transmembrane pressure which is operating between the membrane reduces, and as a result the permeation rate automatically gets reduced. The increase in the concentrated layer at the membrane wall decreases the permeate. So this is due to the increase in the cake resistance or the resistance offered by the particles which are settled over the membrane, and it reduces the driving force for the solvent transport through the membrane surface. So many methods have been developed to reduce this effect for continuous operation. So one such method is adopting cross-flow filtration instead of dead-end filtration. So this is a pictorial representation of membrane fouling. So you can see here, as the particles are settled here, which are clogging. This is here. The green color circles represent the cake gel layer which is formed over the membrane as a result of filtration, and the red color molecules represent adsorbed particles over the membrane, and the yellow color particles represent the pore blocking. So it blocks, it goes inside the membrane and blocks the membrane, and the blue color circles represent the water molecule. So when feed is passed, the particles start accumulating in it. Over time, cake layer is thickened, and this blocks the pores. So types of fouling. So it is classified based on particulate separation as standard blocking, complete blocking, cake formation and intermediate blocking. So in standard blocking, the macromolecules are uniformly deposited on the pore walls. In complete blocking, the membrane pore is completely sealed by the macromolecules. In cake formation, the accumulated particles are also known as macromolecules form a layer over the membrane surface. So it is also known as gel layer. Okay. So intermediate blocking is that the macromolecules deposits into the pores or onto already blocked pores. So this contributes to the formation of cake. So prior to formation of cake, there will be intermediate blocking, and after intermediate blocking, cake formation forms. So when cake formation thickens, there will be a complete blocking of the membrane. So second method of fouling is scaling. So this is a result of concentration polarization. Concentration polarization is nothing but the increase in the concentration of ions on one side of the membrane, which is feed side. So this disrupts the concentration of ions in the water which is filtered and water which is being filtered. So there will be a change in concentration polarization at the membrane surface, and this increased concentration of ions may sometimes exceed the solubility threshold. So because of this, there will be precipitation of ions on the membrane surface. So mostly inorganic salts gets deposited in this manner and they block the pores, and such because of that they cause flux decline. That is, they disrupt the flow of water, and the membrane degradation and loss of production happens as a result of this. The formation of scale is highly dependent on factors such as solubility and concentration polarization, including pH, temperature, flow velocity, and permeate rate. The third fouling is biofouling, which is nothing but the formation of a layer of microorganism over the membrane. So microorganism will adhere to the membrane surface, forming a gel layer known as biofilm. So in trickling filter we saw that they form a slime layer, right? The same way a slime sticky gel layer is formed, which is known as biofilm over the membrane. So this biofilm offers resistance to the flow and thereby decreasing the efficiency of the membrane. So to prevent this biofouling, we can add some disinfectants to the water that is sufficient to remove this biofouling. So here you can see the pictorial representation of each fouling method. Okay. Next, cleaning of the membrane. So in order to prevent fouling, we need to periodically clean the membrane, right? So one is regular backwashing. So this regular backwashing is done every 10 minutes after the process is completed, so that the cake layers are removed to some extent. So by pressurizing this permeate stream and forcing it back through the membrane, the accumulated particles can be dislodged. This improves the flux of the process. So anyway, backwashing has some limitations. Its ability to remove the complex form of fouling, such as biofouling, is less, and scaling could also be not removed by backwashing, and adsorption also will be still there after backwashing. So these type of foulants needs chemical treatment for removing. That is, chemical cleaning should be performed to remove such foulants. So the common type of chemicals which are used for cleaning purposes are acidic solutions to control the inorganic scale deposits, and alkali solutions to remove the organic compounds, and biocides or disinfectants such as chlorine or hydrogen peroxide for biofouling. Next method of membrane filtration is nanofiltration. So nanofiltration can be positioned between RO and ultrafiltration. So this process is used where high salt reduction of reverse osmosis is not necessary, and it is capable of removing hardness, which such as calcium and magnesium, together with bacteria, viruses, and some color is also removed in nanofiltration. So it can be operated at lower pressure than RO, and the treatment cost is lesser than RO treatment. So it is preferred when permeate with TDS but without color, and COD and hardness is also acceptable in case of nanofiltration. So it is a nanofiltration mechanism can be identified as a sum of convection and diffusion transport mechanisms. So two mechanisms happens here. One is convection, which is nothing but the passage of molecules which are size lesser than the membrane. Next is diffusion transport system, which is nothing but the formation of charged ions, and as a result of that, the particles pass through the membrane. So convective transport of ions with water flux through the membrane is mostly caused by the pressure difference between feed and the permeate sites. Diffusive transport is a consequence of this concentration gradient, which is achieved by the rejection of the solutes. Then electromigration also is caused by the streaming potential across the membrane, while the streaming potential is a result of the electric current which is generated by the convective flow of fluid, and this necessarily charged through the force of the charged membrane. Okay. So for uncharged molecules, size exclusion property comes into act, and it is responsible for the separation, and it is controlled by the molecular size in solute form. So multivalent ions, viruses, bacteria, suspended solids are removed in nanofiltration. The effectiveness of nanofiltration could be seen in such a way that it removes micropollutants like herbicides and insecticides which are coming out from the agricultural pollutants, which are most agricultural pollutants. So agricultural wastewater could be effectively treated using this nanofiltration. As well as low molecular components like colorants and sugars can be very successfully blocked using a nanofiltration membrane. So nanofiltration can be implemented for removing the following parameters such as dissolved organic matter, harmful microbes, persistent organic matter, nutrients which includes phosphates, then metals, and inorganic salts can be removed using this method. The advantages of using nanofiltration are lower discharge volumes, then lower retentate concentration when comparing with the RO. Then reduction of salt content and dissolved matter from brackish water. It also removes TDS in brackish water. Then it is a chemical free process, that is, we no need to use any additional chemicals here. Okay. So and pH of water after nanofiltration is normally non-aggressive. So fairly it removes some of the acidity or alkalinity also. So the disadvantage is that it is a high energy consumption process than ultrafiltration and microfiltration. It consumes to about 0.3 to 1 kilowatt hour per meter cube of water which is being treated. Then limited retention for salts and polyvalent ions. Membranes are sensitive to free chlorine and active. So in case of chlorine rich water, first we should implement activated carbon filtration and then we go for nanofiltration. The next membrane filtration technology is reverse osmosis. So reverse osmosis is commonly called as simply as RO, right? So it's a process for demineralization of water, and it also deionizes the water by pushing it under pressure through a semi-permeable membrane. So the reverse osmosis membrane acts as a semi-permeable membrane here. So RO can be effective to remove nearly all inorganic contaminants. So nearly all the contaminants in water is removed here, and is also effective to remove some components such as radium and natural organic substances, pesticides, cysts of various organisms, bacteria and viruses are effectively removed in RO process. And RO is particularly effective when it is used in series with multiple units. And disinfection is also recommended to ensure the safety of water after RO. So for most probably there will be no microorganism, but however, in order to ensure safety, we may do disinfection after RO treatment. And what is the difference between osmosis and reverse osmosis? So osmosis is a naturally occurring phenomenon. And it is one of the most important processes that is occurring in nature. And here in this process, a weaker saline solution will tend to migrate to a stronger saline solution. So that is, the solute always moves from a higher concentrated area to a lower concentrated area, or the solvent transfers from the area where salt content is lower to a salt content where it is higher until equilibrium is attained. Okay. So that this is osmosis. A semi-permeable membrane is that one which allows some atoms and molecules to pass through, but it excludes others. So a simple example can be taken as a screen door, where it allows only air to pass through and it blocks away the small insects which are coming through the trying to come through the hole. The same phenomena happens in osmosis also through the process of passing through a semi-permeable membrane. So here you can see osmosis is a spontaneous process and it doesn't need any driving force, while reverse osmosis is a non-spontaneous process and it needs pressure for driving the reaction to happen, as it is an opposite of a natural phenomenon. So reverse osmosis is a reverse process of osmosis, and the osmosis occurs naturally, but here, as I said now, here we need to apply some amount of energy. So an RO membrane is semi-permeable and it allows the passage of water molecules but not other salts and pyrogens, which are the agents which cause fever. However, we need to apply some force for the reaction to take place, and this force should be greater than the osmotic pressure. When the pressure applied to the concentrated solution, the water molecules are forced through the semi-permeable membrane and the contaminants are not allowed to the membrane and they are settled on the side where pressure is applied. So you can see the process here. That is the semi-permeable membrane. We will apply pressure through pumping water and the reject stream is obtained, which contains higher concentration of the feed water, and the permeate contains lower concentration of salts. Okay. So the desalinated water, which is demineralized or deionized, is called permeate, while the concentrated solution, which is called reject or concentrate. So it is important to understand that our RO system employs cross filtration rather than standard dead-end filtration, where the contaminants are collected within the filter medium. So with cross filtration, the solution passes through the filter or crosses the filter with two outlets. The filtered water goes on one way and the contaminated water goes on the other way. That is, the tangential filtration takes place. Okay. So what contaminants will reverse osmosis remove from water? So reverse osmosis is capable of removing up to 99% and plus percentage of the dissolved salts, ion, colloids, organic matter, bacteria and pyrogens from the feed water. So an RO membrane rejects contaminants based on the size and charge, and any contaminant that has a molecular weight greater than 200 is likely to be rejected by properly running RO system. So likewise, the greater the ionic charge of the contaminant, the more likely it will be unable to pass through an RO membrane. So this is why the RO system does not remove gases, since gases are not ionized. Okay, non-highly ionized gases could not be treated using RO system. So RO is very effective in treating brackish water, surface water, groundwater for both large and small flow applications. Some factors affecting the RO filtration are influence solute concentration, then the flux rate of water, then the pressure, which is caused by the difference in solute concentration between the two compartments, and the external applied pressure. The required pressure amount for high concentrated side is, for fresh water and brackish water it will be between 15.5 to 26 bars, and for seawater it will be between 55 to 81.5 bars. So one of the methods for which RO is applied is desalination, which you know that purifying seawater. So useful areas that have either no or limited surface water or groundwater, we can adopt this desalination. So reverse osmosis is most common method of desalination, although 85% of desalinated water is produced in multi-stage flash plants. So seawater reverse osmosis. Here no heating or phase changes is needed and the energy requirements are low when compared with other conventional methods. So it is highly opted while requiring pure water. So the Ashkelon seawater reverse osmosis, which is abbreviated as SWRO, desalination plant in Israel, is the largest desalination plant in the world. So the difference between the RO and ultrafiltration membrane is the retention properties of membrane. So RO membranes retain all solutes including salts, while ultrafiltration membrane retain only macromolecules and suspended solids. So advantages of RO includes, one is that it removes all contaminants, then it is relatively insensitive to the flow and total dissolved solids level. and it is not affected by seasonal fluctuation and water demand, and RO operates immediately, so without any minimum break-in period. And low effluent concentration is possible here, and bacteria and particles are easily removed here, and operational simplicity and automation allowed for less operator attention is an advantage for RO. It also has some disadvantages, that is, it needs high capital and operating cost. So then managing the wastewater, which is the brine solution formed, is a potential problem here, and the high level of pre-treatment is required in some cases. So, and we also need membrane to should be protected from fouling, right? So we should check the membrane frequently, and the most wastewater can be treated. The 20 to 25 to 50% of feed can be is produced. That is, the retentate produces somewhat wastewater which could not be easily treated. So you can see the table here shows the process. This microfiltration, ultra and nanofiltration, and reverse osmosis. They are both sides. Molecular weight which is excluded, and the applications can be seen here. So nanofiltration can be utilized for dye removal. In case of textile industry, dye decomposition is a major problem, and this dye could be concentrated within this nanofiltration technique, and it can be recovered easily. We saw about the various membrane treatment methodologies such as ultrafiltration, microfiltration, nanofiltration, and RO treatment. Okay, so with this, the 4th unit comes to an end, and the next video we'll be seeing about air pollution in the 5th unit. Okay, thank you.